Hey there, it's Steph, and today I want to talk to you about some of the things you do for self-care that set you up for success as a leader or potentially set you up to fail. So one of the things I've been really focused on this last year, because of having 20 plus years in leadership roles, was learning how to regulate my own internal state. I don't know about you, but my experience with leading prior to really the last year and a half has always had some moments where it felt like intense pressure. And I know I've talked to a lot of leaders. I've coached a lot of leaders over the years that are inside of small companies, large companies, Fortune 500 companies, and they all describe this kind of overwhelm experience because being responsible for sales, being responsible for people, all of these things create pressure capacity, right? So if we don't know how to do the regulation around that, then oftentimes that pressure builds, and then something tips us over. And it's not always work, some things that tip us over. Like we have life too. And I think that's something that I feel very passionate about calling out in this work that I do with the salon industry. Salon owners and professionals that work inside of the beauty manufacturing brands, they have life outside of the leadership roles that they're in. And so they often find themselves at a capacity that is related to one or both of those dynamics because they're, life is intertwined like this. It's not separate things. So I want to talk about just a couple of tips that have worked for me, because what hasn't worked for me is reading books like The 4-Hour Work Week, where it's realistic to think that you can work less and just have all this freedom and autonomy. What doesn't work for me is over glamorizing, run hard, run fast, get there with speed. That doesn't work for me because I'm a mom and I'm building a business and I want to have presence and mental state that is available for my children and for my team and for my clients. And so I have spent the last year and a half really looking at my personal health and evaluating my personal routines. And that's what I want to hopefully give you some insight to. The number one takeaway from studying other high performers in the same arena of how do you become a high performer? Consistency in the routine. So not that you have to have a 3-hour routine or a 5-hour routine, or you have to cold plunge and sauna and meditate and journal and all these things every day. You do not. But whatever you do, you have to do it consistently. And typically, if you're going to do it consistently, that means that you need to start with small steps. So I can tell you my small steps have been, first and foremost, getting control of my sleep. And so that meant making sure that I'm going to bed about the same time every day and then I'm waking up about the same time every day. After that, it meant watching that my sleep was good sleep. And so I use an Oura ring to determine that. So I started to look for things that were happening that maybe were related to me having a bad night's sleep, things like eating too late or drinking alcohol. I've pretty much cut alcohol out completely after watching what happens to my sleep. And then knowing that my sleep is the thing that is going to allow me to show up and be motivated to do all the other habits consistently that make me successful. Habits like doing my journaling, habits like having my prayer time every morning and doing a Bible study, habits like actually getting to the gym and doing the lifting and strength and the cardio, habits like being present for my kids and wanting to play with them and not feeling mentally and emotionally fatigued and wanting to just veg out. Habits like an evening bath and some Epsom salts that helps kind of calm my nervous system. I read a book when I'm in the bath that is fictional and not about business, not listening to podcasts. I don't do any of that at night. I want my brain to slow down, not go faster. It goes fast most of the time. So advice to you, start with your sleep first. I would definitely recommend you look at one of the devices that are wearables that help you track that, because data is fun to look at and it tells you what's working and what's not. And then start to evaluate the different practices you've heard people talk about that really align to what you might want to try on. And then just pick one of them. One I added most recently that was my last add was nightly breath work. I have a breathwork practice that I've been doing for the last year where I go twice a month for 2 hours with a coach. But now I'm doing a 5-minute routine every night right before bed, laying in my bed. And that just helps me really de-stress, down-regulate, just be ready for sleep. So share your best practices below. What did you start with? Where are you at now? Do you have a lot of them? How long is that routine in the morning or that down kind of reset that's happening at night? And then what questions do you have? Let's kind of get some dialogue going in the comments. So I'd love to know as a leader what you do to take care of you so you can take care of other people.